Hi guys, Gilly Hunt here. I'm just bringing you today a little card using lots and lots of little slices of our DSP. It's May and in June out comes the new catalogue with a whole load of interesting and fabulous new patterns and designs of designer series paper. And so I'm trying to use up all my last little scraps ready to have a lovely shelf empty and ready to take the new papers. So here goes. Here's one of the ways I'm going to do it. This seems to be a bit of a trend on the internet at the moment. I've no idea who did the first original, but I've done similar things in the past. So I'm going to claim that this is my version of something that many of us are having a go at the moment. So the first thing you need, let me just put the little trimmer to one side, is a card the right size for your envelope. And I'm not going to give you measurements today because, and I kind of feel a bit mean sometimes when I don't give measurements, but I like to really get people to start to think for themselves. And this is not a card that needs to be a certain size or a certain shape. All I'm doing is giving you the idea and you can use it in your own way. So first of all, find your envelope and measure just a tiny bit smaller so that it'll fit in. And you'll need a piece of card twice that size so that you can score it, fold it to make your base card, and that's your base card. Okay, so again, it doesn't matter whatever size your envelope, that's your base card and that's what you're working to. And then you're going to cut a couple of pieces. Now the first piece is going to be 1/4 of an inch smaller than whatever your base was. So I've used Pear Pizzazz here. It's a very tiny little piece around the edge, but that green is going to reflect the greens from here. So it's Pear Pizzazz, and I've just cut it 1/4 of an inch smaller than the base card, which was Crumb Cake. And then I've gone just 2/16 of an inch smaller for the Night of Navy. So we've only got this tiny little band around the edge. It's really almost no colour at all, but without it, it would show. And then I've gone another 1/4 of an inch smaller for my middle piece. And I've used, oh, my brain has just gone completely blank on what this one's called. It's the Mossy Meadow. I don't know why it's the new, it's fairly recently into our colour collection, and for some reason it's one of those colours that I can say it a million times and it still goes in one ear and straight out the other. So it's Mossy Meadow, and we're going to use that for now. We're going to put these two, which I've already stuck down, to one side, ready to take the final piece in a minute. I've also cut myself a little sentiment in a contrasting colour, and I rather like the idea of red with these because it sort of just is going to punch and shoot through. But you could have chosen navy to match, or the Mossy Meadow to match, or you could have gone whatever colour you like, but I've chosen red, and I've put life is better with a friend like you, and I've just simply cut it into a little banner, and I'm going to put that to one side. So here goes. All I've done now is I've taken my little guillotine and my little scraps of paper, and I've got quite a few of these little scraps like this, and these are all from the Come Sail Away designer papers. And so all I've done is I've taken a really random slice from the side, but what I've done is, as I've sliced it, instead of lining it all up neatly and making them slice into long thin strips, I've just taken it and then just slightly angled it so that we get little pieces like this. Okay, and remember they're double-sided, so take a couple of slices from this one, because then you can always have that extra little piece of different designer paper. Okay, so I've sliced a whole load of little pieces like that, and I've lined those up at the side because I just took a little bit of time to decide what order I wanted to put them in, because they're all different, and I wanted just to sort of splay them out so that we have the pale blue comes in different places, the navy comes in different places. It doesn't all come in one go, and also so we mix up the greens. So there we go. And now all I'm going to do is really easy peasy. I am going to take a piece at a time. So let's take this one first. And using my wet glue, which is just very slightly sealed over on the top, so let's just pull that top. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Let me give it a minute. Here it is. It's like me, it's feeling on, it's got that Friday feeling. Okay, so I'm just going to take this one and I'm going to put it right into the very corner. In fact, I'm going to overlap the corner. Okay, and I'm going to very roughly cut this to shape. I am not cutting it so that it's right on the edges, because what I will do is we'll cut the whole lot together at the end and then we get it all nicely spread out. Okay, and I'm going to take the next one. And I'm just going to leave a teeny weeny gap. So let me show you. Let me just, this is why I use the wet glue, so I've got just a little bit of wiggly room. So I'm leaving just that tiny little gap so that that mossy meadow, which I can now remember, well, I shall remember it for the next couple of minutes. So the mossy meadow just comes peeping through. Okay, I'm going to take another piece of this. And likewise, I'm just going to slice this up. Remember, these were the old scraps, so really it looks a bit wasteful, but in all honesty, we were getting down to the last dregs anyway. So just those last few, and we're just going to squeeze it around a bit, because that's what's nice about having the wet glue. And I'm going to take another little piece of this. And make sure I've left a little gap. Again, and I'm just going to, the reason I'm just slightly trimming it as I go along is it's just easier to handle, because otherwise you tend to get your fingers caught on one or the other and then all of a sudden you've picked them all off. So again, I'm just going down. Now the only thing I have to be a little bit careful of, which way up is it? That way, is if any of them have pictures in, I would like or prefer to have the pictures vaguely the right way up. I know they're going to be on a slant, but for example, the ships here, the sailing boats and the lighthouses, I want them in the same direction. I think it would look a bit weird if they weren't. Let me just pull that one up a bit. There we go. Little gap. Oops, that's a bit big gap. There we go. Just. I do like this one. I think this is my favourite of all the papers from that particular set. It's the one with the lovely knots on. I love that. It's not the easiest one to use. I think some of the others are very much simpler and easier to use, but it's just such lovely colours. The crumb cake and the navy, I think, are real classically beautiful colours together. I rather like crumb cake and navy when I'm making Christmas cards, bizarrely, because I think they always look lovely when they're punched with a little bit of red. So, let's make sure I get this a different way round to the other one, because I'm wanting to show off all the different papers. Isn't it lovely to be able to use one of every single one in the collection? It's a great way of showing someone that they all match and fit together. And last but not least, the little pale blue stripes. Oh, I've got a little tiny gap, so I might even just have room for another little tiny bit. Oh dear, sticking to my baseboard here. Let's have a look. What shall we put there? Shall we put another bit of maybe some green? Let's have a little piece of this. Let's cut an extra piece of green. There we go. And this is what's fab. You can just kind of, add another, take another away. There's no right or wrongs with this. Okay, and now I'm going to just tidy these a little bit smarter and just let that glue just dry for a second or two, so that when I cut them they're not going to snag. Okay, and I'm going to bring back my trimmer, and I'm just going to cut a nice edge. Okay, and this is where the trimmer is absolutely superb, because it just slices through as easy as could be. Okay, and that's making a nice, lovely, smart finish to that card. You know, that's why I said you only have to do it very vaguely at the beginning. So let's bring in the card we're going to mount this on. So there it goes. Isn't that going to look lovely? And I'm just going to do it with glue, but you could do it on dimensionals, which would be equally lovely, just to push it up a bit. But I want to post this one, so. And again, just checking that my yachts and my lighthouses are the right way up. It's just a little something to remember. There we go. And the last thing I'm going to do is just put along, you know, I said it was going to be quite long and bright, and I'm going to just let it speak for itself across there. How about that? I hope you like it, and I'm now going to show you another one I've made using our golfing selection of papers. So there we go, we have the Come Sail Away and the Country Club papers, all nicely used up and waiting for my new catalogue. Don't forget, if you do want one of our new catalogues and you're not a demonstrator yourself, then I'm very happy to send you one free of charge. Just come to www.gillyhunt.com, find my email address, which is clearly on there, and I will send you one with pleasure. Thanks very much. Bye bye.